Bonjour! I'm back in Vegas. I realized when I was in Paris that they knew, I mean, despite the accent, but they knew that you were not French if you didn't like sing bonjour. So I would walk in and say bonjour, and it wasn't enough. It would have to be like bonjour. Anyway, I love it. I love it. So I'm just putting on my makeup for the day, and I thought I would just start the vlog here and just talk a little bit about Paris, and then I wanted to show you what I did end up purchasing. Paris was absolutely incredible. I really didn't know how I was going to feel about it. I mean, I knew I was gonna like it, but I didn't know if I was gonna like love it and just like fall in love with it. I really kind of fell in love with it. Like every day that I was there, I don't know, I just loved it more and more and more and more. And one of my hesitations about France, I guess in general, not just Paris, but France in general is, you know, I don't speak the language at all, as you guys know. When I'm like struggling, just trying to pronounce some like words here and there, I'm terrible. I don't have like a really good background with languages. I don't learn languages very easily. I'm not even great with English, so you know, it's just not something that I've ever really embraced, and I'm just not good with languages. Anyway, so that's always really made me kind of nervous, and I don't know if I can say that's like the one reason that's held me back from visiting France. You know, I'm gonna be 50 this year, so it's taken me 50 years to get there, and I'm just so glad that I finally made it there because everyone is so nice. I mean, I don't know if they're talking about me behind my back, but you know, I would say bonjour and I would say, do you speak English? And they would say, of course, you know, and they were just so nice. And you know, I never felt weird. And I did want to mention that specifically because, you know, if you're watching me and you're English speaking, take advantage of that and travel because, you know, I saw so many times, obviously the people there who spoke French and then other tourists from other countries, we'll say China, for example, they would meet with English. They would both speak English and that's how they would communicate. And, you know, like one side of my brain, I guess kind of knows that everyone is taught English or you're kind of expected to know English. But I also know that that's not possible. You know, not everyone speaks English. So anyway, just sort of witnessing that and just kind of like seeing firsthand that like really everyone kind of met with English, I was like, I'm so lucky. I am so fortunate that the one language that I pretty much speak, I mean, I don't even count Chinese because it's terrible, but the one language that I speak is the one language that, you know, that people meet at. And I was like, oh my God, like I need to travel more. Like I have to take advantage of this fact that I speak English, you know, and that it just makes it so much easier. And it was also really interesting just to see the written language of French. It didn't seem so foreign. Like when I went to China to see all those characters, that is incredibly foreign. And it's like I can't even pretend to try and make out what those words mean, but at least, you know, in France, I could kind of like figure out some of the words or whatever. They seemed familiar. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that, like, man, like if you speak English, travel. You're just in such an incredibly fortunate position. Anyway, so yeah, I just had like the best impression of France and of Paris and of the French people just going there. I mean, even if our communications were a little bit rough, like we would just start laughing, you know, we would just start smiling at each other or laughing. Like that happened a couple of times with waiters. Like, you know, their English isn't great, my French is atrocious, so it would just be a lot of like pointing and like, you know, charade, whatever. And it was just, yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and they were just so warm. I just had such a great impression of the people. And before I go on, let me figure out what I'm doing makeup wise. What is in front of me? I just sat down, I don't even know what's in front of me. I think I'm gonna use the light tan versus the dusty pink today. I've been using the dusty pink a lot. That's the one that has like the little pinkish tint to it. So anyway, that was the people. And the other impression I got from Paris, which I was kind of surprised about, you guys may or may not know, but I'm originally from New York City and I moved to Vegas about 6 years ago. And all I really know is New York. Whenever I've heard people talk about New York, they're like, oh, the energy of New York. And I'm like, well, it's just because there's like, you know, 10 million people there, live there, and like, I don't know, 25 million people that are just constantly in and out of the city. I'm like, of course there's gonna be energy. I never really quite understood what that meant. And, you know, I've been to London, I've been to other cities or whatever, and I'm like, oh, well, it's just, you know, these cities are smaller, so of course they're going to feel calmer. You're not going to get that, like, energy. But there really is something about New York where it feels frenetic. The energy feels like it's buzzy. And it was, I don't know if it's because I'm older and I'm, you know, a lot more aware of things. As soon as it was like I entered Paris and started walking around, you could feel energy, but it was calm. It was softer. It wasn't as hard and like I said, like buzzy and frenetic as New York. And I loved it because it was just this really, like it was a soft energy. It was a soft energy. It was a lot more forgiving in a way. You know, New York can be very, very hard and a very harsh place. If you guys have spent any amount of time, like a good amount of time there, you know what I'm talking about. And it can be very, you know, tiresome, and it can be very, very stressful. And Paris felt like it had energy, but it was like the exact opposite kind of energy. It just was like really good. Like the vibes were really good. And it just, yeah, it just felt really, really chill. There wasn't a lot of honking, which I was surprised at. There was honking, but not like New York is like this constant, constant honking. And it just, yeah, it just was calmer and more peaceful. And people were just so much more patient in general. It's just, you know, a lot slower, more patient, and yeah, it was just, I don't know, I just had such a great impression. Anyway, that was my impression of Paris and of the people. God, the city is gorgeous. The city is absolutely gorgeous. That has got to be my favorite architecture. Those Beaux Arts buildings with the, like, they look like they have like copper tops, all of the buildings, with the like dormered ceilings and the windows that stick out. I just love it. Everything is like ornate, but it doesn't feel overly ornate, or it doesn't feel forced. It just looks like they just wanted to finish everything just so. All the corners, all the doorways, all the windows, like, oh, just beautiful. What a beautiful city. So yeah, I had a great, if you can't tell, I had a really, really great time. And I definitely want to go back. I really liked being there in the winter. I'm a winter gal. I like the cold. The idea of just like walking around and walking in and out of museums and stuff when it's hot, like in August, seems like a nightmare to me. I don't know. Tell me differently if you've been there in August and you think that's the bee's knees, but I can't imagine. Like, I loved being able to walk around, and I got pretty warm walking around. So I think I went at a great time, at least for me. It was a great time. I'm just grabbing this Valentino Ida Cheek in number 4. I think it's Sweet Rebel. This is the one I got in New York. You know what I love so much about these? I was trying to figure out what it was, because I really do love the formula. It's like a super creamy, soft powder situation. I think what I love the most about it, though, is that there's a sheen to them, but there's absolutely no micro glitter. You know, there's a very, very soft, smooth look to them, yet there is this really beautiful sheen. Oh my gosh, and the food. I don't know if you guys saw my vlog. If you're interested in food, definitely check out my Paris vlog. But it was intense. There's the most amazing food there, and we had 2 like French bistro meals, and we went to Caviar Caspia, which is like a Russian restaurant, and we went to Langosteria, which is like an Italian seafood place. And then what I didn't vlog were some places that we like dropped into, and a lot of them were Asian and Italian. So these like really small places. There's so much pizza in Paris. That was another thing I was really surprised at. I was like, what's with the pizza here? And it was excellent. The pizza there rivaled New York pizza. It was so, so good. I couldn't believe, I mean, I guess I could believe it because France, but I was like, I had no idea that there would be so many pizza and Italian restaurants in Paris. I was really, really surprised. I was really shocked. I really thought if we walked around, we would just run into all these like French bistros, and there were plenty. They were more like cafes though. And I don't know, I think I'm kind of used to seeing that from New York, and so I wanted something different. And a lot of the really small, quaint, kind of hole-in-the-wall places were pizza places. So yeah, we had some of the best pizza we've ever had in Paris. Incredible. And some of the best Asian food too. I mean, it is really such a great place if you want to take like a culinary trip. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm just going to reaffirm, yes, go there for food. I'm just tapping on this Looky 1111 Dream Cheeks. It's such a good topper. It just makes everything look nice and glossy. Love it. Okay, so for eyes, I think I'm going to use this Charlotte Tilbury Oyster Pearl. I love this eyeshadow, but I haven't used it in a while, so I'm going to use that today. I'm going to use my Sonia G Worker 2 brush. So yeah, I just had the best time in Paris, and I want to go back. I want to go back. So there was a lot of like, not renovation or construction, but they were like doing a lot of beautification projects around the city because the Olympics are going to be there next year, which I totally forgot about. So a lot of the big gardens were kind of closed off. It was also the winter, so I was like, okay. Notre Dame just had that big fire, so you know that was kind of under construction or under renovation or whatever. And so there was a lot of that going on around the city, and I didn't know that that was unusual. But I have a friend here on YouTube who was in Paris at the same time, and he goes often, and he was like, I can't believe all this construction. And I was like, oh, is that unusual? So anyway, if you're planning a trip to Paris before the Olympics next year, just beware that there's a lot of construction going on around the city. I just finished up my makeup with some of the Lisa Eldridge Gloss Embrace lip gloss in the shade Sorcery, and I wanted to show it to you in natural light. It's so funny, there's so much light in this room, but I'm not getting it directly on me. Hold on, sorry. I just made you really dizzy, didn't I? I think you can see it there. Anyway, that is the shade Sorcery, and I am obsessed. I brought the shade Affair, which is, you know, one of her older shades, to Paris, and wore that pretty much the entire time. That and the Dries Van Noten lipstick in number 14. I think you guys saw that on my vlog. But that I was wearing just like every day, just to throw something onto my lips. This could be the new everyday shade, Sorcery. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm done with my makeup. Let's go upstairs and let me show you what I picked up while I was in Paris. Bonjour, Butters. Do you want to say hi to everyone? I think they probably missed you. She did very well at boarding. We board her where we take her to school, so she's very familiar there. They love her. But we missed you so much. We missed you so much. Come on, baby. Do you want to come upstairs with us? We're going upstairs. Someone's very speedy. Oh, now you're taking a seat? Okay, come on. Let's go upstairs. Let's go upstairs. Want to see what Mommy got? While we were there, I should mention, we saw a couple of Frenchies, a couple of French bulldogs, but we didn't see any Boston Terriers. We definitely didn't see any Frenchtons. So we were a little disappointed. And I was on like the lookout for a pet store, and I didn't see any. I probably should have just Googled it, but I thought, you know, if we just run across one, that would be fine, but we didn't see any. What are you doing, baby? What are you doing? You want to stay in the sun? You want to stay in the sunshine? So, unfortunately, I did not get anything for Butters while we were in Paris. So I had, this is so stupid, but I had this idea in my head that I wanted to get something from all of the big, sort of like, big in my head, French brands. And I didn't really want to get anything that was like Italian or American there. I don't know, maybe that was my way of like honing or like narrowing things down, because there's everything in Paris. So I didn't pick up anything from Bottega Veneta or Loewe or Valentino or anything, but I did want to get something from Chanel, from Hermes, from Dior, and from CELINE. Those were the 4 places that I wanted to get something. So let's go ahead and start with what I got at Hermes. This I actually picked up at the airport because I was trying to get an appointment. You know, they have that lottery system, which is so crazy. I was just, every day I was like kind of going in the night before for the next day to try and get an appointment so that you can buy leather goods. And I didn't get it. I didn't get an appointment, but every day I thought, okay, maybe I'll get one tomorrow. Maybe I'll get one tomorrow. So anyway, ends up being the last day, and I'm like, oh, well, I never made it to Hermes. I should have just gone, because you can just go if you don't want to buy a handbag or leather good, if you want to buy jewelry or scarf or makeup or perfume, you know, whatever. And I did want to get something to commemorate the trip. So anyway, I ended up not actually going to any of the boutiques in Paris, which is okay. But I did go to the one in Charles de Gaulle. So here is the box. And I haven't even looked at this since I've been home. Beautiful pouch. And I love this piece because it's so different. I haven't seen this anywhere else, and I've been looking for a long necklace. And here it is. Isn't that cool? So they had this is basically like leather, and I believe this is the Etoupe color, and they had it with black and gold as well, but I thought this looked a little bit different. The black and gold, it seemed, I don't know, like this to me just looked very Hermes. There's something about this color that was very, very Hermes. Anyway, let me show you how long this chain is. I should have asked them for the actual measurement. I don't know. And there's no actual latch because it's long enough to just throw over your head. And so it comes down like just below my cleavage, basically. So that is what I got at Hermes, and I believe I wanted to give you guys prices because I know a lot of people are doing a lot of shopping there or hoping to do a lot of shopping. What did I do with all my receipts? And I did want to mention like how the whole VAT thing works, but I'll talk about that at the end. Hold on, let me find my receipts. Okay. There's a lot of paperwork here. So this was 684 euro. And since I got it in the airport duty free, there was already no VAT attached to it. So that is great. So this is what I got at Hermes, and I'm so happy because, like I said, I've been looking for like a long chain with like a really cool pendant for a long time. I just haven't really found, I haven't found anything that I really liked online or in store anywhere. I keep looking. Most chains are just, you know, your basic 16, 18, maybe 20, 22 inches, but this is super long. This is probably like 40 or 42 is my guess. Anyway, I'll put down below in my description box any more information if I can find it. So that's what I got at Hermes. And then I got something at Dior and something at Chanel. However, I did not go into, I didn't go into the Dior boutique or the Chanel boutique. And yeah, like the one day that we were walking around shopping, we were so jet lagged. It was the day that we got there and we just wanted to kind of stay awake until dinner. And we had been up for, you know, like 24 hours or whatever. And my husband was just like we were literally doing like the zombie march through the streets or whatever. I did end up getting something at CELINE that day, but everywhere else, you know, my husband was just like, do you want to go in there? And I was like, no, that's okay. Like we just kept walking. Anyway, and then the rest of the days, you know, I was with my husband. I didn't want to like drag him into all these boutiques. And there's just so much to see in Paris. I just didn't want to spend all of my time shopping. You know, I do plenty of shopping here in Vegas. So anyway, I wanted to spend time more like just walking around and sightseeing and, you know, going to museums and stuff like that. So I ended up going to La Samaritaine the last day that we were there. So it was the morning before we had to like get to our car and actually leave for the airport. So the mall opened at 10. I was there right at 10. This is the mall I'm talking about. So the hotel we were staying at it is like attached to the mall, and it used to be the mall. They converted it into a hotel, I think in 2019 or something, fairly recently. Anyway, so I went into that mall. They had a little bit of everything. So let me show you what I got at Dior. And this isn't a terribly exciting unboxing video because I didn't bring home any boxes because I had to pack everything. But I did get a pair of shoes from Dior. I got these loafers. So I wanted a pair of loafers that were a little bit more everyday. I have those Prada loafers, but they're really, really chunky. and a little bit on the heavy side. Actually, let me go get them. So here are my Prada ones, right? They just have like a chunkier, heavier feel to them, and they are a little bit heavier than these Christian Dior's. Actually, let me hold them up next to one another. So the Dior's are a lot lighter. The heel is lower, so you can see that these are Pradas. And I just liked this little kind of like emblem that they had. I believe last year they had these loafers that had this like metal, it's a Christian Dior, it was like the same logo that they have over some of the Lady Dior bags, you know, the ones with the cloth, and also the book tote. And it was so heavy and big, and it was metal, and I was like, you know, that wasn't really my style. But this I really like. I find it, even though it's like the whole name and it's right on the front, I find it more subtle. So I got these in a size 38, I believe, and I'm usually a 38.5 or 39. So these run just a little bit larger. And because they are calfskin, they will eventually stretch a little bit. So width-wise, I would say they're a little bit snug. I kind of have wide feet. But anyway, oh, let me show you the other one. So here is the pair. And these were 890 euro. So that's what I got at Dior. I'm trying to see if there's anything else to point out. I do also like this very typical loafer accent on the back. I don't know what the history is behind this. I think it's really cool looking. I don't have that on the back of my Pradas. I just have this piece. So that's what I got at Dior. And then let me show you what I got at Chanel. So I got a pair of shoes at Chanel. And this I also purchased at the mall, the Samaritan Mall. I was so excited they had these in my size because I never seem to be able to find a classic Chanel shoe at any of the Chanel boutiques here in my size. They just go so quickly. But I got these. Aren't they pretty? So they're these like slingback flats. They have this little Chanel logo in the back there. And I got these in a 39. Chanel shoe sizing will always and forever be kind of super crazy. So I think I've told you in the past, sometimes I'm a 38, sometimes I'm a 40. I think I've been like a 40.5 in some shoes. These kind of ended up in the middle. So these are 39s. And these have the grosgrain toe cap. And then these are, you know, this is leather, this part. And just a super low block heel. Aren't these great? I just thought perfect for every day. And like I said, I've just been on the hunt for just basic Chanel shoes, and very difficult to find here in Vegas. Let's see, some info here, and then 5 care tips by Chanel for shoes. I have never ever seen one of these cards before. Protect, care, storage, appreciate. I love how appreciate is step number 5. Oh, I appreciate my Chanel shoes, that's for sure. Here is the pair. Let me take the stuffing out. But here is the pair. Aren't they so pretty? Just love them. Basic. And then they had the black tip with black leather, and I thought, that's nice. But I really like this kind of classic Chanel pairing. And they had the black toe with like a black and white tweed, which they didn't have in my size. So I probably would have gotten those too if they did have them in my size, but I'm glad I picked these up. So that's what I got at Chanel. And then finally, let me show you what I got at Celine. So I did already use this while I was in Paris, and I did post a picture. It was on Instagram and TikTok where I did it was kind of like a photo dump of 4 outfits that I wore in Paris, and this was shown in one of the outfits. So I don't know if you caught that, but I did end up getting the Celine Triomphe bag. I'm so excited for this. I never picked up the Celine bag that I still kind of want when Phoebe Philo was the creative director, but it just had that simple rectangular buckle here. I do feel like maybe that one is a little bit more my style, but I just love this really just beautiful like box calf leather handbag. The shape is perfect. It fits just the right amount. It's not too big, it's not too small. And I have to say, this Celine logo, it grew on me. It had to grow on me. I didn't love this at first. Like I said, I was so in love with that simple rectangle, like graphic latch that Phoebe Philo had that it took me a while to kind of warm up to this, but I have definitely warmed up to this. And they actually have, I don't know if you guys saw for spring, they have this like interesting like monochromatic version of this bag. So it'll be like let's say like a pale gray color, and then this will be like a pale gray leather, like stamped leather, and I think the whole thing is the buckle. Anyway, that's really pretty. I may have to pick up one of those, even though it's essentially the same bag. But, oh, I love this. And let me just model it for you because you can wear a crossbody. The bags that I packed for Paris, I packed my Chanel Jumbo Flap, I packed my Birkin 25, and I packed my Prada fanny bag, which I love to bring for travel because it really is very, very handy. And it was funny because I was like, I didn't pack any like real crossbody bags. I can wear my Chanel Jumbo crossbody, you know, if I just kind of pull out one of the straps, but it's not great. It's not great as a crossbody. You could definitely wear it as that, but it's a little bit kind of big and it sits just a little bit low so that when you're walking, it's like always bouncing. So I was like, God, I didn't bring any crossbody bags. So when I picked this up, I was like, oh yes, I have a crossbody bag now. So this is the bag that I actually brought to the Louvre. So it was perfect for the Louvre and just like walking around. You know, I had my phone and my camera and everything, and I had all of my important stuff in here. So this clasp is like a one-sided clasp, so it's not like you squeeze both sides. You only squeeze one side over here, and then this whole thing lifts up. And then inside, it's actually quite roomy. So there's one pocket, two pockets, a zipper pocket, and then back here is like kind of a skinny pocket. So yeah, it's great. It's a great kind of walk around bag. My only hesitation in bringing this bag everywhere is that this is box calf. Is that the right term? Box calf leather. So it's like that really like polished, stiff kind of leather, which looks incredible, but it scratches really, really easily. So it's one of those bags that like in the beginning, it's gonna look great, and then there's gonna be like the ugly preteen years. It's gonna look like it's scarred and scratched and all that, and then it's gonna develop sort of a nice patina. It's gonna age very well. So I love it. And I was debating between the black and that like rich kind of cognac brown color, which I thought, since, you know, spring and summer's coming, I thought maybe that would be better. But I thought, let me just start with a really beautiful, like just black and gold, goes with everything, colorway, and then see from there. I actually have not bought a Celine bag in a really, really long time, basically since Phoebe Philo was there. So it's been years. So that is it. The Celine bag, my 2 pairs of shoes, this necklace that I'm loving. So I did want to mention, because I was kind of clueless about all of this. So I don't know if you are the same way, if you're planning a trip to Paris or Europe, any of the EU nations. I don't know if they do this everywhere, but at least, you know, in the big stores in Paris, what they will do is refund or kind of help you get started with the VAT refund. So the VAT is the taxes that they charge you in the EU, and it's built into the price. So in Paris, the VAT is 20%, which is quite a bit of money. And what will happen is when you purchase it, obviously they'll know that you're not from there, and they'll say, do you know, need a VAT refund? You'll say yes. And you should bring your passport with you when you shop. And so they create a form, let me just show you, a form like this that has a barcode at the top. So there are kiosks in Paris that you can go to if you want to just kind of start the process, because it takes a while to actually get the refund. Or you can just do it at the airport. So I just did it at the airport, and it's so easy. You just boop into the kiosk, this, you know, the screen turns green, and then you just do it for each one. And that's it. You basically, like at the store, when they create this for you, they'll ask you if you want the refund in cash, if you want it back on your card or whatever. I just chose to put it back on my card since that's where I was charging all this stuff. And so they said expect to see it in like 4 to 6 weeks or something. So at that end, it's super duper easy. So we connected in JFK. So that's where we had to go through customs and immigration and everything. So after immigration comes customs. So we get into customs, and I like sat there and I was like calculating everything. I was like, okay, I've got to let them know what I purchased, because, I mean, well, one, you should, and two, your passport is connected to all of your purchases. So I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, you know, I have to pay customs, I have to pay duties on this, fine. I know it's going to be less than 20%. So in any case, there's going to be some sort of savings. There was a woman just sort of standing there right by the gate. And she said, you know, did you buy any alcohol, tobacco, or spirits or whatever. And I said no. She's like, did you buy any luxury items, handbags, or whatever? And I said yes. And she said, what's your total? I gave her my total, and she said, okay, are you traveling with anyone? I said yes, my husband, who was behind me. She said, okay. She just waved us through. I was like, and I looked at her, I was like, are you sure? She was like, just, she was just like, keep moving, go. And I was like, okay. And like, I kept walking, and I'm looking around, and my husband was like, so where do you, you know, we were exhausted, bleary-eyed. He was like, so where do you have to go? And I'm like, I was like, I don't think anywhere. I think she just waved us on. So anyway, that was my experience at JFK. They didn't stop me. They didn't have me pay duties. And I know my total was more than what they say is like the cap. What is it, like 1,600 or something per person? Whatever. Anyway, they just waved me on. So that was my experience. I don't know if they're going to charge me at a later date, because again, everything is attached to your passport. So that's what I picked up in Paris. I'm looking at all the things here, and I'm loving them. I'm so glad that I picked them up. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next vlog.